All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess it's about time we should get this show started, shall we? Folks, without further ado, it is now time for the world famous Rich Wilson Show. And it starts now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world famous Rich Wilson Show.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world famous Rich Wilson Show. I'm Rich Wilson, and you're not. Which actually is sometimes not terribly a bad thing, but, you know, it is what it is. All right, folks, so what we're going to talk about tonight is we're going to talk about the Hypocrites with Disney and some of the other things surrounding the new Lightyear movie. We're going to talk about interest rates and how they affect you. And trust me, it's not going to be as boring as you think it is. And then we're going to get into why all this bull crap about the greedy oil companies is floating around, and some of the insides on what you need to know. Okay, so let's say we get this. Let's get this started. The people of the CDC do have an announcement for you. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The people of the CDC. There's our wonderful CDC people right there. Would like for me to let you know that Dr. Fauci has contracted COVID. He's been boosted 1 billion times, and he has tested positive. So thank you to the people of the CDC. All right, so now let's get on with the show. So, of course, a lot of you have heard all this hoopla surrounding Disney Pixar's Lightyear movie. And it's a movie, it's a standalone movie about Buzz Lightyear, you know, from the movie to Toy Story. And a lot of people are getting all butthurt over this. It's a same-sex couple in Disney's Toy Story. Okay, how you doing, Rathalos? Okay, so this is the complaint, that they have a same-sex couple with a kid, and everybody's all just up in arms. Oh my God, we can't have that. It's not like it's something that's new to the United States of America. Same-sex couples have been a part of American culture for quite a long time. It's not a new thing. And for people to sit there and say, "Oh my God, it's weird." I just got a private message. Somebody's like, "Dude, what's up with your studio?" Real quick side note. Yes, we took the wall out. Yesterday, the temperature got so bad in here because the air doesn't move in here that we had to take the wall out. So you see the back of the office from here. We're going to work on trying to get some kind of airflow system in here so that way we can secure it off. But anyway, but like I said, the same-sex couple thing is not, it's not like this is brand new to the United States. Okay, gay couples are not new. Okay, they're not new by any means. And for a lot of people to say, "Oh, well, you know, that's just wrong. It's in a kid's movie. You know, it's a kid's movie. You can't have that in a child's movie." So when you walk down the street and there's a same-sex couple, do you blindfold your kids? Do you cover their eyes so they don't see it? Because if you do, that's a problem. Regardless of how you feel about it, personally, understand your kids are going to become adults one day, and this is the stuff they're going to see in the world. And as a parent, it's your responsibility to, you know, help them understand. So when you go to a movie like this, and say your child's never seen a same-sex couple before, which in this day and age, you have to literally be living under a rock. Okay, and say they see this, and the kid asks you, well, Mom, Dad, why were these two women together? Well, guess what? You're going to have a conversation with them about it. Okay? It's a part of that life, and it's a part of life and it should have always been a part of life because homosexuality has been a part of this country since its foundation, folks. And people who try to say, oh, well, it's something modern. No, actually, it's not. Homosexuality has been around this country since foundation. So to sit there and complain about, and here's the other thing. Oh, well, it's for children. We shouldn't have this in children's movies and be exposing our children to this. Really? Really? Okay. I get you on that, but there you have a male character kissing another male character in a cartoon. It also shows bestiality. If you want to get technical, okay, that's an animal kissing a man. And how many times Bugs Bunny dressed in drag? And things like that. God, that news agency that I get alerts from is so late all the time. So you're going to say, well, it's supposed to be for the kids. Okay, what about this? Oh, that's different. That's satire. Is it? If you're worried about a movie teaching your children about homosexuality because it simply appears on the film, then wouldn't you be concerned that this is teaching your children that they could go and pick up a bunny rabbit and start making out with them? I mean, because if you're going to apply that kind of a stupidity of logic to something, then it goes across the board. Then at that point, and I get it, and I understand people were like, oh, well, for the kids. Okay, I could not find a video without using somebody else's newscast. But let's stop and let's talk about something that a bunch of people took their children to this past weekend that said it was age appropriate for all ages, but it really wasn't. The Christina Aguilera concert at a Pride concert where Christina Aguilera strapped on a 12-inch dildo that was bedazzled and walked around on the stage with it and had a backup dancer get down on her knees and act like she was performing fellatio and then stroked it. Okay. And no, I can't get the picture. And by the way, if you are looking at the camera footage above me, you'll notice, yes, the noise in the background is the guys are mowing the lawn again. So anyway, but that was a show that was listed for all ages. And there was children in the crowd for this. Another thing that I ran across that was too graphic for me to be able to show without getting a strike is one of the Pride parades. Folks, if you're so stupid that on the parades, now the Christina Aguilera one, you don't exactly expect Christina Aguilera to walk out with a 12-inch dildo strapped to her and have backup dancers simulating performing fellatio on stage in front of your children. That you don't when it says it's an all age appropriate show. You don't expect that. But I will tell you this, if you are so naive that you're going to go to a Pride parade and not think you're going to see something that may be considered inappropriate for your children, you got problems. I have attended 5 or 6 Pride parades, 2 of which were in San Francisco. I had friends that were participants in the show or in the parade, and I told them I would be there to support them. And I can tell you right now, I would not take a single one of my children there to that. Not because I don't want to expose them to that world, because my children at the time that I went were under 12 years old. not appropriate for them. It's appropriate for adults. It's appropriate for late teens, maybe, but not children. And I saw in the video, there was children as young as 5 years old at this. And there was things that were inappropriate. And the thing is I'm just like, I want to take my children. And some parents were trying to say, oh, well, I didn't know it was going to be like that. You went to a pride parade. What did you think you were going to see? This is not the Macy's Day Parade, Thanksgiving Day Parade, or the Macy's Christmas Parade here, or the, Tournament of Roses Parade. Okay. These are people celebrating and being proud about their lifestyle and who they are. And some of it is not child friendly. And you should be well aware of this. And if you're, so don't complain about that. And like I said, the Disney thing, the adults that are complaining about Disney having a same-sex couple are the same ones who had no problem watching Bugs Bunny making out with male characters. In fact, the only time I think I remember Bugs Bunny actually made out with a female character was actually in one of the worst movies Warner Brothers ever put together, and that was Space Jams, which it's a cute movie. It's got a great soundtrack, but it's a dumb. That movie just horrible. I think that's the only time you actually see Bugs Bunny making out with another bunny of the opposite sex. And they didn't even make out. It was just a little kiss. Because, he's made out with Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, Foghorn Leghorn, all male characters throughout the series of Looney Tunes. So you can't sit there and say now that now you have a problem with this when there was this going on in cartoons from a long time ago. Star Trek had during its TV series, the original series, had this going on. In movies before now had that going on. And in fact, one of the first gay interactions on a film was a lesbian interaction in 007. It was one of the first. So to sit there and try to say that putting it into a film now, and I'm not saying 007 is a kid's movie, but saying that this is not acceptable. It's been in the Batman movies, which that's supposed to be all age appropriate. It's been in Marvel movies, all age appropriate. X-Men, all age appropriate. It's already been in these films before now, and now it's absolutely horrible. Now, of course, also going to tell you, well, it's also been banned in 14 countries. Let's look at 2 of the 14 countries it was banned in. China, Saudi Arabia. Okay. In China, you are locked up if they catch you being anything other than straight. In a straight relationship, they arrest you and lock you up in enslavement camps. In Saudi Arabia, they outright kill you. If you think I'm wrong, go look it up. Go Google what happens to people who are homosexual, bisexual, or any of that nature in Saudi Arabia. You're dead. Same thing with, oh, wait a minute, everybody was talking over last summer about we all stand with Afghanistan. Yeah, Afghanistan is one of the countries it's been banned from. Try to promote anything of that nature in Afghanistan. You'll be murdered in the streets. Pakistan. Places like that. Okay, so don't get your feathers all in a ruff over this issue because you didn't have these problems. Both sides of the fence didn't have these problems a year ago. But now all of a sudden, Disney's got it in there, except for the fact that Disney has had in movies dating all the way back to Peter Pan, they have had certain innuendos to that style or to that lifestyle in their films. You know, so don't think like now all of a sudden we're going to jump on the Warrior bandwagon. Because here's the problem that makes you a hypocrite. If you didn't have this problem 20 years ago, but now you suddenly have this problem, that makes you a hypocrite. If you try to argue, you know, why it was okay before but not okay now, that makes you a hypocrite. Just understand that in today's movies, you are going. If you have not had that conversation with your children yet, more than likely you're probably going to have to if they don't already know. In fact, I see most of you, most kids out there today at 5 years old have their own cell phone. Hell, they've been exposed to it long before you took them to Disney's Pixar's Lightyear. So, they program them at school. And see, in school, that's not where it should be. There should not be the school telling you what's going on. It should, or your children. It should be you talking to your children about this. I've never been a proponent for sex education in school either. That still should be something taught between the child and the parents. I really don't. You know, the only time I would look to somebody outside of my mother and father is if they absolutely refuse to talk to me about it, then maybe. But I believe that these are conversations that need to be had between the mother and the father. The problem is, in society, we have gotten to the point that they have normalized the destruction of the nuclear family. And folks, the nuclear family used to be the dad, the mom, the kids, the house, the fence, the dog. Okay. Even if it is the mom, the kids, the house, the dog, the fence, whatever. We have destroyed the two-parent family system. There goes the guy with the leaf blower again. Good news is after he gets done with the leaf blower, I don't have to sweep off my back porch. And they have celebrated that, the destruction of the two-parent household, regardless of what the dynamic of the parents are. They have celebrated the destruction of that. But, you know, like Black Wolf, like you said, you know, the programming that's going on in the school, I honestly believe there's no place for it in the school. It shouldn't be in the school. That should be a conversation that's had at home. That's where it needs to be. But they don't. Now today, I saw some people making the argument using, well, it goes against God's will. It's against God's will. Okay. Really? So, and I asked the person, I said, why is that? And they said, well, it's a sin. Okay, so you're determining that person has committed a sin. Well, yeah. I said, then do you really understand the Bible? Well, yes. I said, I don't think you do. Well, why not? And this is what I quoted to him. Matthew 7, verses 1 through 5. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. For in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Why do you look in a speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. That right there tells you it's not your place to pass judgment. And if you understand the Bible, and you understand that, you can't use that as an argument either. And basically what Matthew 7 says is, it is not your position to judge, because that requires you to judge yourself. And there are some people in this world that are so conceited and so hypocritical, which also violates that the Bible as well, that they think they've never done any wrong. There is no such thing as a person who has done no wrong. Even the Pope has made mistakes. Okay. So, and I got kicked off of like 2 different pages for using that argument today. Because it is not your position. It's God's position to judge you, but you're running around judging people, which means you are taking the place of God. Therefore, you are committing a sin. So you can't do that anyway. What you're supposed to do, and what most religions teach, is you are supposed to love one another, accept one another, even if you were taught that what they are doing is wrong. What you are supposed to do is talk to them and counsel them to help them and understand what is right. But they are supposed to do it in reverse, and that's another problem we have in society today. The people that are on the one side of this argument, if you sit there and try to talk to them about what you have been taught about how it's wrong, you're just screamed at and told you're a transphobe, a homophobe, anything else under the sun. Instead of people sitting down and having a conversation. Because nobody has a conversation anymore, and that's where this problem with Disney comes. Nobody's sitting down to have a conversation. Nobody's saying, hey, let's talk about this. I don't think this is right, and this is why. Because if you try to say, I don't think this is right, and here's why, then like I said, you get called whatever blank phobe, fill in the blank. And the other person says, well, you don't have a right to have any say or have any discussion about it. And what you end up doing, and why this whole thing fails, is because when the people that are pro for what Disney says on that bandwagon is, we're going to shout you down and make you feel like you're less of a person. When you're fighting because you claim you were treated as a less of a person, so now you're going to commit that action in which you're fighting against. So now you're sitting there and you've been saying that exactly, love the person, not the sin. I know this all too well. Don't force your shit on me, and I will not force my stuff on you. That, from Rathalos. And nobody has to. But nobody's willing to have a conversation. Nobody's willing to sit down because everybody wants to scream. But now the one group that felt like it was marginalized and felt like it was kept down now puts itself on a position higher than and shouts down and keeps the other people down. So now you are committing the same wrongs that were done onto you, which means you've learned nothing. And all you do is cause that hatred. If people say, well, I want to stop all these people from hating us and we want to be treated equally, then stop treating people how you feel you were treated all these years. Stop projecting what you think was how you think you were treated onto other people. And guess what? You'll learn sooner or later, through discussions, we'll all just get the fuck along. And that's the problem you have with this Disney issue. And then when you try to point out the people that don't like what Disney did, exactly why their argument falls apart, then they run to something else, and then they run to something else, and then they just tell you, oh, you must be one of them. I'm one of you all. That's the funny thing about it. I've had people throw that, oh, you must be one of them. Well, I'm one of you all, and you know why? Because I'm a human fucking being. So are the rest of you. We're all human beings. Every one of us. And it's like I said on yesterday's show. We were all born, and we're all going to die. Regardless of who you are. Your heart will stop just like everybody else. So since we're on this small little blue marble in this great expanse of a universe, maybe we ought to figure out how to get along. Maybe we ought to figure out how to have conversations. Now, there's some people that are just beyond the point that they're such asses about it. You can't have that conversation. Me and Black Wolf know people like this. We've run into these people. There's people like that everywhere. So don't waste your time with them. Don't waste your time with people who only want to push forth the negativity on these issues. And we'll all be okay. Everything will be great. And guess what? Eventually, those who only want to spread negativity towards everything will eventually fade off into nothing. They'll be gone. They will fade away because the only memorable moments they left behind was causing everybody a bad case of hemorrhoids. And nobody, once the hemorrhoids are gone, you do everything you can to forget them. I realize that sounds like the dumbest logic on earth, but that's what it is. You know, like I said, let those who only bring forth all the negativity just fade off into the distance, into the nothing, because that's all to be remembered for. And we can all have conversations and realize it's not as bad as some people say it is. It's not as bad as other people say it is. It's not that bad that Disney put that in. That Disney put this into their new movie. It's not that bad. It's not even bad. Because this has been in movies for a long time. This has been in children's movies for a long time. It has been there. I still remember when everybody lost their shit over, E.T. because it's a children's movie and Elliot's mom was divorced because his father decided to run off with the chick to Mexico. And everybody threw a fit about it. It's like, wait, are you talking about? Divorces have been in movies forever, and divorces have even been in kids' movies. Still remember when everybody lost their crap over Bambi. Oh, children shouldn't have to face death. Well, yeah, they will at some point in their life, because everybody has a relative or someone that's going to pass away in their life before they become an adult. So it's just the next thing that people are up in arms about. And the main reason why is because a lot of these people have not chosen to have a conversation with their children. If you walk out into public with your kids, you're going to see this. And if you don't have a conversation with your children, that's your fault. Because you should. Now let's get on with one of my next story. Let me talk to you about this. The big popular thing going around right now is, greedy oil companies are screwing all of us and making off with all our money. Well, people who post crap like that really don't understand the global market system. And we've had this explanation on this show before, but it's still going on. Here's the problem that we have. Do you know why gas prices are so high right now? There's 3 reasons. 2 of which you're gonna think of already. Okay? 2 of which you're gonna think of already. The government and the war in Ukraine. Actually, the war in Ukraine is somewhat affecting the prices of oil per barrel in the world right now because of all the sanctions. And the government. Okay, I got you. Okay, those 2 things are affecting price of oil. But there's another one. We are affecting the price of oil. Yes, the consumer is affecting the price of oil, folks. All these people trying to find the blame and don't realize some of that blame is staring back at them in the mirror in the morning when they're brushing their teeth. Here's the reason why. Let me explain to you why, okay? So a couple of years ago, remember, the government came out with stimulus checks because everybody was locked at home. And how are we going to pay the bills? How are we going to pay the bills? I can't pay my bills. So they came out with this idea of stimulus checks, right? We're going to come out with stimulus checks and that way people can pay their bills, right? You know, only 12% of the American population legitimately used every dime of the stimulus checks to pay their bills. I saw that study today that the estimate is about 12% of everybody who received one used it to pay bills. The remaining people used it to buy all kinds of random stuff. Why? Because, well, let's see, landlords got told they couldn't evict you. So I don't have to use it to pay my rent. Some electric companies got told they can't, utility companies got told they couldn't turn you off. So I don't have to pay for that. So in a sense, other than food, you had money to buy shit. Okay? And so instead of the government responsibly saying, you get a credit to buy food, and like I said before, oh wow, he's in Reno. Okay. So you get a credit to buy food, and the utility companies will have to submit to the federal government the cost that the individuals are using for utilities, and the government will reimburse them instead of billing you because you can't go to work. They decided to give you money for it with no checks and balances on where the money was going, right? So let's stop and take that into account. We had all this money, right? All this money. People are getting money. Oh, give me money. I want money. Give me money. I want more money. Give me more money. Give me more money, right? So then they started buying stuff online, started ordering a bunch of stuff online. But the problem was a lot of the companies were not operational because people were at home, shut down due to COVID, right? So then a lot of people went out. They said, well, if I can't go to work, I can go camping in the outdoors. So a lot of people started traveling if they could. Travel great distances. Well, the oil companies weren't producing at a decent level because COVID. Their operations got cut down. And if people would have stayed at home, that supply that they had wouldn't have been constantly running out there. So they've ordered all this stuff, traveling all over the place by car. And then we get to the other side of the pandemic, right? And they're giving out money. Giving out money. But then you have a president that comes along and says, well, we're not going to renew oil permits, and you have to use what you already have. We're not going to grant new ones, and we're going to shut down this and this and this and this and this. So we already have a low amount of supply out there. We have a low amount of production out there. Now we start to get to the other side of the pandemic. People are now going out. They're going back to work. They're doing all kinds of things. Companies are coming back online, seeing this god-awful amount of stuff they've got to produce now because they weren't working. And the oil companies are getting screamed at, hey, we need this. We're low over here. Right? So now the government has what we call bottlenecked the energy production world. But people are going everywhere. They bought cars during the pandemic. They bought all these different things during the pandemic, right? They bottlenecked oil production. People are on the move, can't go anywhere. And there's a big bubble in the supply chain. And because of that, demand is now when they were level, and actually, production was higher than demand, which is why prices were so down. During the pandemic, it caught up, and then it passed it. So demand way surpassed availability. So in the global market stage, no matter communism, socialism, capitalism, whatever, there still is the matter of supply and demand. And when the demand outpaces supply and does it by a lot, then unfortunately the prices have to increase in order to balance that out. So because of what the government did, giving out free money, choking off production, inflation. There was way more money and way more people demanding stuff than there was good. So inflation hits. Inflation is the product of when demand and the dollars outpace supply. And so prices continue to raise because to bring that to a balance. Then eventually, even if it's at a balance, demand still drops off, and so the prices will start to lower to catch back up. Why? Because they want you to buy stuff. Sitting here saying that oil companies are raising these god-awful rates to make all kinds of money actually doesn't work. It actually costs them money. Because eventually people are like, well, I ain't driving nowhere. And now they're not making any money, so now they got to bring it all back down. What they really want is a good balance between the cost and production and demand and production. So the profits are actually what they call estimatable, to where they can run their systems based on that estimate, and based on the estimate it runs. But when you have when you become unstable and you can't predict it, that's when it starts causing all problems, and when the market becomes unstable, and that causes market instability, causes a lot of this fluctuations and increases and decreases. They want a stable market. All companies want stability, because then they know that what they can produce, they know what the cost is it's going to be, they know what the demand is going to be, they can meet all of these things, and they can streamline their companies in order to make it. So when you're sitting there thinking that, when people are sitting there with their bullshit story about, oh, well, the oil companies are artificially inflating it, and you got the president on TV sitting there saying, oh, well, it's all the oil companies' fault. Horse shit. No, it's not, because the oil companies don't want to do that. The oil companies don't want $6, $8, $10 gallons of gas. They don't want that. And meanwhile, thank you for getting that to me, station manager. And meanwhile, while you got oil companies, right, who don't want that, then you have the next problem. Okay, the next problem you have. Okay, well, you want us to drill more oil. Okay, fine. Let's drill more oil. Let's put in more oils. Oh, wait a minute. We need to file permits with the Department of Natural Resources. We need to file permits with the Department of Energy. And okay, cool. Let's do that. We're going to fill out our paperwork. What? 5 years ago, it only cost us, and understand these general numbers so it's easy to track. The numbers are way higher. 5 years ago, it cost us $5 to submit a permit request. Why does it cost $100? That's not right. Why is that? Okay, well, you know what? There's a lot of demand. We want to get out there and put as much oil out in the market as we can. We're going to make the most money humanly possible if we get oil out there. See, that's another thing these people keep screwing up. You think, oh, they're pulling back the amount of oil that's in the market to make more money. And actually, that's wrong, because the more oil they have out in the market, the more money they make. The less they do, it may seem like, oh, well, $8 a gallon makes them a lot of money. There's less of it. Therefore, they make less. It actually makes less. Anybody who's ever been in the market will tell you there's a reason why companies like Walmart, Costco, and all those make money, because the money is in bulk, not in small amounts. That's where the money is. Okay. So anyway, so now they're like, well, it cost us extra money to file the permits. Okay, well, we're going to file the permits. But the government, who doesn't really want oil drilling, and folks, don't try to tell me they don't, that they do, because they've been running around trying to sell this bullshit story about we're going to have electric cars in 8 years. We're going to get off of our dependence on oil and all this in 30 years. So don't tell me they want oil to be drilled, right? Okay. So now they submit the paperwork. They're like, all right, we got these permits and we want to drill on them. But then the Secretary of Energy is told by the the White House staff, all these permits now need an extra evaluation period, aka red tape. Instead of what would normally take, let's just say 7 days to approve a permit to drop a drill bit in the ground to find out if we could put pumps on this to produce oil. Instead of 7 days, now they're looking at a year. Now, originally the permit process actually takes around about 45 to 90 days. Now they're looking at 2 to 3 years. So even today, if ExxonMobil submitted its permits for the Department of Energy and the Department of Natural Resources, they still could not put the first drill bit in the ground on their leased oil fields that they haven't drilled yet for 3 years. For 3 years. So tell me, where's the problem coming from? And then you've got people like us that are driving more and more and more. So we keep raising this demand, and the oil companies are being bottlenecked by the federal government. And meanwhile, you got China buying up every amount of oil it can find in the world. Russia's been cut off to where they can't send out their oil. You've got all these different factors going on. So in turn, again, what you have is the federal government. There's a little bit of a price alteration because of the war in Ukraine. And the consumers. Now, the government's going to be the biggest one of the government is the biggest one of the three, because Biden can step in right now, executive order / the red tape, and get these permits pushed through and approved. And they can start putting exploratory wells down and start determining on whether or not they can start pumping oil out of these fields. Somebody's going to, of course, say, well, open up the Keystone XL pipeline. All that oil was not oil for fuel, by the way. That was not oil for fuel. That was oil for other things. That actually kind of rather crappy oil. It was all kinds of like sand mixed and crap like that. A lot of it's used for making like asphalt and things of that nature. Like hydraulic fluids, stuff like that. But the thing is it's still, and you got people that are saying that, it's not, nobody can, no president can see, and the stupidity of the argument is no president can affect the cost of oil or shit. That guy over in Russia decided to invade a country and everybody's blaming him for inflation and the cost of oil. So evidently a president can make an impact. I love how they don't understand how stupid they sound. No president can affect the cost of oil. Putin's at fault for this. Last time I checked, he was president of Russia. He wasn't the president of like the Elks Club, or he wasn't the president of the Kayakers Unlimited Canal Club. He was the president of a country. Now, couple this with the Western world shunning Russian oil, you alienate the Saudis. China is buying up contracts. So now all the demand in the Western oil leans on us and OPEC. OPEC won't budge, and the U.S. won't produce more. Station managers. Everything station manager just said is right. Everything. And it's not difficult to see, but the problem is people have been so damn brainwashed by this that they honestly now, and it's like 3 months ago, it was Russia's fault. Now it's greedy oil companies, because if you look at the narrative online and in the media was now it's greedy oil companies, which started a couple weeks ago, and now everybody's posting memes about greedy oil companies. But 5 months ago, it was Russia. 6 months ago, it was Russia. A year ago, it wasn't really Russia. A year ago, kind of was. Okay. But now the media has changed focus, so now everybody else has changed focus. That's how. Just look at social media, and that proves to you that people are sheep. Because just look at the trends. Just look at the history of hashtags just on Twitter. Because I think yesterday the hashtag greedy oil was trending. 5 months ago, hashtag Russia's to blame was trending. And then you go look at the dates when things are trending and look at the media coverage and what are they saying? Okay, what are they saying? People are being led around like sheep and they buy into this shit. And then when you try to make this argument and you try to use logical sense with them and you try to say, when they tell you the president doesn't affect anything. Okay, well then who's the fault? Greedy oil companies and Putin. Is Putin the president of a country? But not our country. But isn't he the president of a country? Which that shoots in there. Don't you make more money off of bulk than you do off of smaller amounts? Well, you sound like Alex Jones tripping up on what you're going to say next. And then they get mad at you and then they unfriend you. They're like, well, I'm not following you anymore. You know, when presidents can't affect, when you're talking about Putin's at fault for this, and it's like, when they say that, it's like, okay, how? Which they can't explain. They cannot logically explain this because you can't defy the global market system. You can't. It's impossible. Okay, you cannot. You can't go against the global market system, just like you can't. Physics is a thing. The global market system is, because the global market system works regardless of what communism, socialism, capitalism, any of those. The global system still applies if you are, as long as you are trading out in the world. Okay, it doesn't matter what like people like. Well, if this was if we were doing socialism, we wouldn't have this problem. Horseshit. Yes, you would. Look at the prices of gas in Russia. Socialist. Look at the price of gas in China. Socialist. Well, I'm sorry. China is communism. Russia is communism, but they call themselves socialists. Venezuela. The cost of fuel has gone up. They solely state that they're socialists. The cost of fuel has gone up there too. So try to tell me that you wouldn't have this if we turned into a socialist society and got rid of capitalism. It doesn't matter because the global market will still dictate that cost. You can't argue the global market. It's impossible. It's like trying to argue physics. If I throw something in the air, it's coming back down. Why? Because, well, fuck gravity. If this goes at this speed, it takes the same amount of force against it in order to stop it. You can't argue those. Those are facts. Global market system works based on demand and availability. If the demand is higher than availability, the price will go up globally. Well, the president saying he can't do anything about it is a lie, but people do seem to think this guy would lie to them like that's whatever, so it must be whatever the media says. And the problem is, it's what it is. Media tells these people tomorrow that the sky is purple, and if you try to say the sky is blue, you're called a science denier. Because some scientist will spin some angle about why the sky is purple. He'll be on every single show, and then if you say, nope, I believe the sky is blue, you're going to be a science denier, and you're the enemy, because the sheeple was told to think that way. And that's why. Folks, when you see these people, these idiots who go on Facebook and say it's greedy oil companies, just don't even get into a discussion with them. They have no idea what they're talking about. None. And I'll give you an example. Okay, then how come inflation hasn't really affected the cost of diabetes medication? Why? Because pharmaceuticals have been overcharging for their shit forever. Okay? For some reason, pharmaceutical companies, they live in their own box. Okay, they live in their own box. Okay, I agree with the last 5 presidents that have come along that haven't done shit about it. Well, Trump did a little bit, but Obama did something, not much. They actually went after it because there's no legitimate reason why they're charging what they charge. Even in the market today, there's still no legitimate reason why they charge what they charge. But because there's only 4 major pharmaceuticals in the world, guess what? Monopolies are what is the counter to supply and demand, because they can set the supply, they can alter the supply, the demand, and the pricing all on their own. It's one of the reasons why this country has the rules and regulations against monopolies, so you don't have that happening. Except we don't go after pharma. Well, Automa didn't like. Well, yeah, if your responses are too long, folks. If you're in the chat and you hit the multi-stream, which is if you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch and you're trying to comment, it feeds into the multi-stream, which I see on my screen right here. If you go too long, it will cut you off, and sometimes it will suspend you for like 5 minutes to get you to cool off. So warning, I never told anybody that. That's my bad. Automod didn't like my comment. Okay. But monopolies are the exception to the rule when it comes to the global market system. And you can see that in a lot of places in foreign countries that don't have monopoly laws. America has monopoly laws, except for pharmaceuticals. I don't get it. But hey, we're not going to even get that. Nah, not too long. Probably too many in 10 minutes. Oh, if you're constantly hitting things up over and over, if you're rapid firing responses, that will also get you to, oh, hey, Dean, didn't know you were watching over there. Biden said he could change things, but the other day he said he can't do anything about it. Today he said, I'm writing a letter to the oil companies, a strong letter to the oil company to let them know how I feel. The oil company's going to send a letter back going, okay, then approve our permits, asshole. Right now, Exxon has 400 and some, I think ExxonMobil released a statement today or yesterday that they have over 400 permit authorization requests sitting at the Department of Energy. Okay, sitting at the Department of Energy, probably on Joe Handensberger's desk, who's been on vacation since the pandemic hit. $35 now for insulin in Washington State. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but believe it or not, that's not the worst. I've heard some places it's over $100. Okay. It's crazy that people, when they try to make these arguments, don't even remotely try to use logic. They just use what they've been told. And it's sad. It really is. Now, a lot of you heard today that interest rates were raised. Now, if you're worried about raise and you're worried about security, let me tell you about Ring. No, I'm kidding. I'm not Ben. We're not sponsored by anybody. But anyhow, why do so many people in this country want to believe so easily that big companies are evil and self-serving, but not our government? Because people bought into the twisted side of Marxism and think that socialism is the only way to go, when it's like, oh, big companies are evil. Well, then you're just going to turn the government into the big company. I've told people over and over again, if you're mad about this, go start a company and do that and see what happens. But on the interview that you got cut off from, he stated he could change things. He did. But then 2 days later, at a press conference in California, he said there wasn't anything he could do. It's like, I can't fix this. There's nothing we can do about this. And it's like, what? Wait a minute. You were just on Kimmel and you said that you could change the price of gasoline with stroke of a pen. I'm starting to believe that, and here's the thing, if y'all have seen any part of the news lately, Hunter Biden, more information has been released about what was on his laptops and stuff like that. And there's an audio recording where he says that Joe Biden listens to anything he says and does what he tells him to, right? Some of these speeches, I think I understand why Biden is so off his rocker and out in left field, because Hunter Biden told him after he smoked crack. And that's why it just goes off the rails. I'm starting to believe now. I don't think maybe Biden doesn't have dementia and stuff like that. Maybe it's just because he's getting his speeches written by Hunter Biden after he smokes crack. I mean, that's what he said in his laptop. But anyway, I was getting ready to talk about interest rates. Y'all get me off target talking about Hunter Biden. So anyway, interest rates. The Feds today raised interest rates. We all thought it was going to be 50 points. They did it by 75. We thought, it'll be a 50-point jump. Nope. It would go to 50 points, 0.50%. Nope, went to 0.75, and they're saying by the end of 2022, we might be looking at over 1%. I'm going to try to give you the Reader's Digest version, but I have a video for you for this, and it explains it a little bit better. History shows us that is wrong, that Marxism, communism, socialism fails and is wrong. If we are taught history and critical thinking, markets and budgets and anything but critical race theory and gender ideology, Americans would know this. Yeah, true. Very true. So anyway, so the Feds raise the interest rates. And you're like, okay, so what does that mean to me? Well, as long as you don't have what they call an annual adjusting or revolving loans deal where it can go up and down and up and down, and you have a mortgage, Eric over here posted on Facebook, I'm trying to catch up. Well, we may have to push interest rates till tomorrow. The Feds pushed them today. We could push it back till tomorrow. Some of these permits have already been approved. After they're approved, then they're tested. If there's nothing there, the permit stays open. It costs to close the permit. Why would you close it? Let another company lose money. He's right, too. Some of these they've been approved. They stuck a drill bit into the ground, and nothing of any value came out of it. And they're going to cost you, and it's what to close off a permit, something like 100 some odd million, or it's like something like around $30-40 million to close a permit. If your loan rates are fixed, you're fine. If you're on adjustable rate, you're about to feel the pain. Yep. Okay. Yeah, and costing is, folks, everybody keeps talking about these permits and everything else. Understand, we're talking about dealing in the millions of dollars here for these permits, both to open and to close them. You're talking about inspections and this and that. By the time it gets done, you're talking millions of dollars here. We're not talking about, oh, well, it's kind of like when I put a barn in my backyard and I had to pay the city like $35 to get a guy to come out and inspect it. It's like that, isn't it? No. It is nowhere near that. And half the people making these comments about these permits, that's what they think. That's what they think. Oh, it's like the guy that came out back and he inspected my yard to make sure that where I was putting my shed was going to be okay, and like it was $35 or something. Some counties it's like 100 and change. So I get somebody go, it cost me over $150 to put a shed in my backyard. Well, I'm just being general. Yeah, I'd like to see you go to the government and go, hey, I got my $35 to drill a hole in the ground to see if there's oil. That won't get you in the door. But remember, business run on revolving debt. And if that's not fixed, so whatever your debt is okay, the business or not, get ready for more price increasing. Yeah, and that's speaking about the interest. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the interest rates. Okay. As long as you're not on an adjustable rate deal, you're good. If you got a credit card right now, I'm going to tell you right now, if you've got one of those credit cards that does the adjustable interest rates on it, if like 1 month it could be 2%. The next month it could be 4%. Then it could drop down to 1. Even if it has the ability to go down. Okay. Pay that bitch off now. If you got the money, pay it off now. If you have an adjustable rate mortgage on your house, go to the bank, get you a fixed rate. Even if it's a little bit higher of a percentage than what you got right now, go get you a fixed rate if you can still do it. It's going to save you before this is over. If you have any loan or any debt that has an adjustable rate on it, go get it fixed now. Because the Fed said that we could be looking at over a 1% or more increase. Right now, it's 0.75. If it goes over 1 and you have an adjustable rate loan, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot. Now, for those of you, like I said, that have fixed rates on your credit cards, car loans, anything like that, you're good. You're good. It'll be the same rate next year as it is right now. Because you contracted on that loan that's your rate. But if that's not what you have, I would seriously go renegotiate that shit right now. Well, I mean, not right now. For most people in the country, business hours are over. Tomorrow, if you got nothing to do and you got an adjustable rate mortgage, you got an adjustable rate credit card, car loan, whatever it is, I would go to the bank or the credit card company and say, I would like a fixed rate, please. Well, and this is what they're going to tell you. Well, our system is really set up to decrease, based on this and that. No, because as long as it can move, it can go up and down. A lot of people fall for that trap. Well, if the market goes down, it goes down. But if the market goes back up, it can't go back up. Go read the fine print. That is considered an adjustable rate interest. If it can go down, it can go up. Trust me. Station manager's not wrong. We're going to feel the business is getting popped on this too, because a lot of commercial businesses and commercial loans can't get fixed commercial loans. There's a lot of them who can't. And so theirs is going their money that they borrow in order to do business, because you have to borrow money to do business. Okay? So those loans, their interest rates are going to go up, which means they're going to have to cover it. And how they cover it, we pay for it. If we want them to keep doing business, we have to cover it. So we're going to see inflation. Then we're going to see stagflation. I'm really going to recommend that when we have the presidential election in a couple years, folks, start looking at the candidates that are business oriented. Look at candidates, because understand something. Everybody's like, oh, well, this country is this country is that. This country is an economic engine. It was designed to be an economic engine. It was designed to produce goods and sell them and make money. Okay? People are like, oh, it's this and it's that. It's not. It's an economic engine. And to have people in office that don't understand that is where these things keep falling apart. Okay? And right now you have a president of the United States who has never run a business, but evidently drove a truck and did this and that and this and that. Somehow was in the Naval Academy, which the Navy has said, no, you weren't. And, he was in the Navy Academy in 1965 or some shit, which that wasn't the case. During the Vietnam War, got all kinds of education waivers. Do you notice how everybody keeps picking on some of them, going, oh, they didn't go to Vietnam and they were alive and able to serve then. Joe Biden, 17 educational waivers to keep him out of the service of the United States military during Vietnam. I mean, personally, I don't care. If you're in college, so be it. What the hell? Anybody tell you that went over there, if you found a way to avoid it, good for you. except, straight up, jumping ship. Business runs on revolving debt. Take a farmer, loan seeds paid by sale of crops. Dale has to include the increased interest of farmers lose money. Same for meat, same for hard goods, foreign and domestic. It's called invoice factoring. Yes, I wasn't going to quite get that detailed, station manager, about it. I really wasn't. That goes into a lot more detail than I wanted to, but it's all how the system works, and they just raise interest rates, and they're saying they're going to be raising them again. And the idea behind it raising interest rate is to slow the demand down, slow the loans down, slow that so that supply can catch back up and bring the market back into balance. The problem is there's a lot of times we're raising them. They understand the market is a delicate system. And if you raise it too high, you cause it to go in the opposite direction too quickly, and you end up with a crash. The best we're going to get out of this is we're going to go into a recession. And then as long as we don't crash everything during the recession, then we come out the other side. And I'm going to tell you, when the market gets to its lowest, really start thinking about making investments, because on the opposite side of this, you're going to make a shit ton of money. Understand that a lot of the billionaires that exist right now, there's a lot of them out there that were not billionaires until the recession we had in the 90s. Okay? When we hit the bottom of the recession, they started dumping money into it, came out of that recession billionaires. So watch the markets, and when the markets get to their lowest, start putting some money in, and taking that and converting that money into more investments, and you come out the other side, all kinds of money. Okay. I understand it's going to hurt, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to hurt. Okay. It's going to hurt everybody somehow, some way. But once again, if you have loans or debt that is on an adjustable interest rate, I would go renegotiate them now. Because you're going to find out you owe a hell of a lot more than you originally did. A year from now, your debt might be double what it is right now. But anyway, folks, let's not get into any more of that. Like I said, I had a video, but we're not going to get into it. If you guys want to see it, if you guys want to check out that video at some point, you can shoot me a message, and I'll just shoot you the video or the link to it, and you can see it. It's the bagel. Actually, just if you Google search the bagel on this. Fuck. I need to mute that. Well, I don't now. I'm just shutting it down now. But anyway, folks, just Google search the bagel on YouTube for a breakdown of how interest rates works and how it affects you. And it is very simplistic, but it will teach you everything you need to know. Anyway, folks, for everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, I'm Rich Wilson, and we're going to call this a night. You guys have yourselves a wonderful evening. And I hope you guys learned something tonight, and I hope you guys understand more. So anyway, folks, you guys have yourselves a good one. For everybody here at the world famous Rich Wilson Show, including Dave. Thank you, Dave. I'm Rich Wilson. We're out of here. You guys have yourselves a good night. Don't do anything I wouldn't do, which doesn't leave you much room for an error. Okay? And we'll catch you later. See ya.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.